Hi, it's James Holmes from jamesholmesstudio.com, and today I'm answering questions from my Facebook page at James Holmes Studio, and you can also find me on Instagram at James Holmes Studio. So today's question comes from Celia, and Celia says, what inspires each painting you do? And then the second part of her question is, do you just grab a random color and see where it goes, or is it semi-planned in your head? So great questions, and my method of painting is painting from the inside out. So what informs my work is a state of emotional being as it is on the day that I'm creating the paintings. And so what I do typically in painting from the inside out is set with inspiration. So the inspiration can come from something as simple as a conversation I have with someone. It can be something as profound as a close relationship that I have in my life and the influence that that has in terms of the internal muse. It can be something as random as something that I have read in a given day, maybe before coming into the studio, or a film that I've seen, or an experience that I've had. Oftentimes conversations with friends or family show up, and certainly life events. Life events often show up in my work. So when I come into the studio, typically what I'll do is spend some time just in my environment. So it could be piddling around, it could be doing something that's really not yet creative, just to get into the space of clearing my mind and being really prepared to kind of let go and just let the creative process drive my time in the studio. So when it comes to color selection, I select the music I'm going to paint with and accompany me, and or sometimes I'll listen to something like an artist interview sometimes. It all depends on where I'm at. And then the color selection comes following what the influence is going to be in my environment. And there are times when I've painted in series, like I just completed a series of paintings that are 6 paintings, all with the same color palette over a period of about 3 weeks. And that would be a situation where I definitely come into the studio, I already know what the plan's going to be, I already know what the color palette's going to be, and I pursue that in my work. More often than not, though, it's just a matter of just deciding in the moment what colors are speaking to where I'm at in terms of my heart space. And I let those, that feeling or that determination dictate which colors I put onto the palette. As the work evolves, I like to let go of the mental process of thinking too much about composition, thinking too much about colors other than making sure I'm not creating a muddy mess. And as I get through the work and I get towards the end of the work, maybe let's say 80% through the completion of the painting, I then do tend to take a more of an intellectual approach in trying to interpret where the painting's at and what it needs to really become complete. So that's when the determination is made about a specific color or set of colors that might need to factor into the composition so I have something that's pleasing to look at and something that I think is kind of consistent of what it was that I was feeling while I was completing that first 80%. And so that last 20% is the more thoughtful part in terms of making conscious decisions about things like colors and things like composition. So once the work is complete, I typically set it aside. I'll put it on the drying rack. I might just finish my time in the studio and shut off the lights and head out for the day. And I like to come back and revisit the painting. I call it meeting the painting. And to meet the painting in the morning or meet the painting the next day in the studio is where then, from an intellectual standpoint, the conscious thought process really is interpreting what the work became. And it's very rare that once I feel like a piece is actually complete, that I'll do anything more with it. So in other words, when I come back and meet that painting and have that interpretive moment, I typically consider it to be a completed painting. There are times when I've gone back and done a little bit more work, but that is less typical of my style. So to answer your question, what inspires me is people, life events, conversations, interactions, events, things that I see in my day-to-day life, and how those things affect me, and what that inspires inside that then is expressed through the painting. And then from a color selection standpoint, other than those occasions where I'm actually working on a specific project, which might be a group of paintings, if I'm going to do a single painting, a one-off painting, I'm just making that color selection in the moment based on what I'm feeling at that given time in the studio. So Celia, thank you so much for your question. If you would like to enter a question, simply go to the comments in one of my Facebook posts or on my Instagram, and just ask anything you want to know. I'm interested in talking about art. I'm interested in talking about process. I'm interested in talking about inspiration and influences, other artists, what art inspires me, interpretations of my posted work. I would love to hear your questions about a particular piece of art and have that conversation or dialogue about the interpretation of that piece, or anything at all about my journey through my art life. How I've arrived where I'm at now, what I'm working at, doing in the future. All those things are fair game. So please just post a comment, post your question, and I'll record a video just like this one to answer you. So thanks so much for taking your time to visit my social media pages, for your comments, and for all of your support. Hope you all have a blessed day. Thank you.